All right, so we're gonna continue building out our TikTok app right here. So the next thing we're gonna do is add in the following counts. So let's start doing that. So first we have to do a age stack so that we can have the following, followers, and then like section. So a age stack, and then within this age stack we'll have a V stack because the age stack is to keep everything horizontally, and then the V stack is to keep some of the stuff coming down. So we'll have text here. So for right now, let's say 428 for following count, and then right below that we'll have another text that says following, and then we have this section right now. But if we look at this right away, you can see that, well, the text doesn't really look like how it's supposed to. First, the text right here, the 428, should be more bold, so let's just add a modifier for that. Get some space, and then we'll say dot, and then we'll just add the bold modifier just like that. And then for following now, we see that following kind of have like a less of a bold thing. So we'll add a font weight modifier, and we'll set this to dot and then just make it light. And now if we look on this, it look a little bit better, but the coloring for following still look more black. I feel like it should be more gray. So what we can do is do dot foreground style modifier, and then in here we'll do that and pick the secondary color. And now the color look a little bit more similar to what we were expecting, so this will look good. So now we have our next section, and that's going to be for followers. So for now, let's just copy our V stack again, and then we're going to stay inside our H stack here, but we're going to pretty much go down and then paste again. But for this section, let me give it some space. But for this section, instead of it being 428, it's just 213. And then this is for followers, right? And this is pretty much matching exactly like what we're thinking. So now let's add the last one, which is going to be the amount of likes. So again, you can pretty much just copy and then just paste again. And then we'll change this 428 to 1116. And then instead of following, it's just going to say likes. And if we look at our view now, you see it pretty much looks like kind of what we're expecting. The only thing is that I feel like they're too close together. So what we could do is, one, we could do it a couple ways, but the simplest way right now is that we could just add some padding. So one way we could do is basically just say something like that padding, the trailing. And just by doing that, you'll see that like the view kind of just pushes this one over to the right. So we did that, and we can just go down here again and then add the other V stack. So this one is for the followers one, this one right here. Go down to the end of the V stack, and then we're going to add another that padding trailing modifier just to push it over to the right. Add some padding to the right. And then for the last one again, we just do it again. And we just do padding, trailing. And now it looks a little bit more like what we were expecting. So now after this, what we're going to do is we're going to step outside of the H stack for now. So let's just scroll up, and I'm going to show you a way. You see how it's all of this stuff right here? One, we're going to switch this to a custom view so we can use pretty much all the time instead of repeating code like this. But we'll do that in the next video. For now, let's leave it as is, and we're just going to go to our H stack here, and we're going to close all of this. So we're going to say Command Option left click, and you see all of that close up. And then if you did want to open it back, you just hit the three dots. But we don't want that, so Command Option left click to close it. Now, right under this H stack, we're going to add another H stack. Because remember, this is where the buttons are, like the edit profile, the share profile, and then the other person button. So the first thing we're going to add is a button. And we're going to go down to this one that takes an action and a label. Hit enter. And then for the label block, just delete that. And then in here, we're going to start by saying text. And then you should notice already, edit profile. And then get rid of this block right here. This is like where we would have the action, but we're not going to do any action right now. And the first thing you're going to notice is if I shrink this a little bit, you'll see that the edit profile button right here is blue, and it doesn't have that gray background that we're looking for. So we'll just fix that real quick. So to get the gray background, a quick way is we could just stick to add a button style. So we add a button style modifier here. And then we'll pick a bordered version, and now you will see like that kind of grayish background right there. You see it? Cool. So now the next thing is, yo, the colors should not, like the font shouldn't be blue. So let's fix that. So we'll go up here to text, right? And then we'll just add a new modifier to this. And we're gonna say foreground style. And then we're gonna put black. And now you see in our view, the button now pretty much matches similar to what we were looking for in TikTok. Now let's add the other two buttons. So the next one is gonna be share profile. So we can just do like what we were doing before. Copy this, go down here, and then keep it inside the H stack. Remember that, because I want it horizontally aligned. And then for this one, this is just share profile. And then let's look at our view. You see, we see the share profile button right there, both clickable. Now for this last one, this actually uses that image instead. So we're gonna do a little bit of different thing right here. So for now, yes, we'll copy and paste again, but instead of using a text right here, right, delete this. And what we're going to use is something called an image. So we're going to use an image, and then we're going to use an image that Apple provides. So I don't know where TikTok got that person image with the plus. So we're going to use something similar, the best that we have. And Apple provides a bunch of images that we can use. So if we go to SF symbols, this right here, and say we type in person, I already did this, person, you'll see you get a couple of them. And this is the closest one I found so far, person.badge.plus. There's a couple other ones with plus, but this is the closest looking one. So just right click or double tap and do copy name. Go back to Xcode and then just paste in the name that you have there. And now if we look at our simulator, you'll see that we see this button right there, and it looks a little bit different, but as I said, this is the best one we have closest similar. So now the issue though is that they're like, yo, we don't want this to be blue. So let's fix this, and we know already how to fix this, like we did for the text. So at the image, let's just add a new modifier to this. So we'll say foreground style, and we'll just say black. And now we have pretty much our view right here. So I'll scroll up so you can see more. And this is how our TikTok view is pretty much looking. In the next video, we're actually gonna work on some changes here. What we want to do is, the best thing to do whenever you have repeating views like this, like say for example inside our H stack, we repeated our V stack here, and then we repeated it here again, and then we repeated it here again. So in the next video, we're actually going to start creating custom views so that we don't have to repeat code exactly like this. So, all right, that's it for this one. And again, remember the motto, anyone can learn anything with time, practice, and failures. All right, I'm out.